أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن ربك يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر إنه كان بعباده خبيرا بصيرا. ولا تقتلوا أولادكم خشية إملاق، نحن نرزقهم وإياكم، إن قتلهم كان خطأ كبيرا. ولا تقربوا الزنا إنه كان فاحشة وساء سبيلا. ولا تقتلوا النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق، ومن قتل مظلوما فقد جعلنا لوليه سلطانا فلا يسرف في القتل إنه كان منصورا. ولا تقربوا مال اليتيم إلا بالتي هي أحسن حتى يبلغ أشده، وأوفوا بالعهد إن العهد كان مسؤولا. وأوفوا الكيل إذا كلتم وزنوا بالقسطاس المستقيم، ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم، إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إنك لن تخرق الأرض ولن تبلغ الجبال طولا كل ذلك كان سيئه عند ربك مكروها كل ذلك كان سيئه عند ربك مكروها ذلك مما أوحى إليك ربك من الحكمة ولا تجعل مع الله إلها آخر فتلقى في جهنم ملوما مدحورا أفأصفاكم ربكم بالبنين واتخذ من الملائكة إناثا إنكم لتقولون قولا عظيما أفأصفاكم ربكم بالبنين واتخذ من الملائكة إناثا إنكم لتقولون قولا عظيما ولقد صرفنا في هذا القرآن ليذكروا ولقد صرفنا في هذا القرآن ليذكروا وما يزيدهم إلا نفورا صدق الله العظيم.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Believing brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Fuad just recited from Surah Israh, starting with verse 30, ayah number 30, and ending with ayah number 41. So you can open the Mus'haf, open the translation of the Quran and follow. I will read a translation. My comments here will be very few, inshallah. Indeed, your Lord extends provision for whom He wills and restricts it. Indeed, He is ever concerning His servants, acquainted and seeing. And do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for them and for you. Indeed, their killing is a great sin. And do not approach adultery or fornication. Indeed, it is a terrible immorality and an evil way. And do not kill the soul which Allah has forbidden, except in the course of justice. And whoever is killed unjustly, we have given his heir authority, so let him not exceed limits in the matter of taking life. Indeed, he has been supported by the law. And do not approach the property of an orphan except in the way that is best, until he reaches maturity. And fulfill every commitment. The commitment is indeed something one will be questioned about. And give full measure when you measure, and weigh with an even balance. That is the best way and best in result. And do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those one will be questioned. And do not walk upon the earth exultantly. Indeed, you will never split the earth, and you will never reach the mountains in height. All that has been mentioned, their evil is in the sight of your Lord detested. That is from the wisdom your Lord has revealed to you, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, and O mankind, do not make with Allah another deity, lest you be thrown into hell, blamed and banished. Is it that your Lord chose you to have sons and took for himself daughters from the angels? Indeed, you say a grave saying. And we have certainly diversified the contents of this Quran that mankind may be reminded, but it does not increase the disbelievers except in aversion. This is, as I said in the beginning, from Surah Israh, verses 30 to 41. In it, you can see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a number of commands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah is speaking to Bani Israel and reminding them of what He had revealed to them in the book that He had revealed actually to Musa alayhi salam. And they have various commandments, not only the 10 commandments, but they have many other commandments in the Torah that they are supposed to follow. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in this surah a number of commandments. They may be somewhat different than the commandments that are there in their source, in their book. But we can see here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not giving us so much as commandments concerning ritual acts of ibadah. In these commandments, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dealing, well, first of all, with our relationship with Him, how it should be, how we should establish that. If we want to be in the good books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to have the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Of course, that is the first thing that we should establish. That is not before the the verse number 30 that Sheikh Fuad started with. So he read from a little after that, and we see some of these other commandments that concern how we interact with each other. We see, for example, that we are forbidden from killing our children for fear of poverty, and that continues to happen even today because of widespread poverty that is there in many parts of the world. And maybe with the pandemic, people fall also into poverty, and when they find themselves in that state, they become so perturbed, so disoriented, and so on. They perhaps begin to do things that they should not do and perhaps would not do if it was normal circumstances. So do not kill your children. Allah is the one who provides. And do not approach, not just commit, but do not approach adultery or fornication. So, what is prohibited is not just the act of adultery or fornication, but also any approach that leads to it. Anything that leads to any act, that is, that leads to adultery or fornication, is a terrible immorality and an evil way. Allah also forbids us to kill anyone that Allah has forbidden for us to kill. Any other human being, do not kill the soul or take the life of the soul, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden. And of course, this is not referring to our internal souls, but soul here, the word nafs means the person. Do not kill any person which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden, except in the course of justice. And Allah gives the right to the relatives of the person who was killed, the murdered person, his heirs, his inheritors. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them the right to seek justice. And it's just a life for a life. They cannot go to excess in doing that. It would be wrong for them to do that. But they cannot take life also into their own hands and kill the murderer. They have to do it only in the course of justice. Only the authorities of a country, any country that we are living in, can follow up on this matter by the law and take the life of the murderer. So we should not go to excess if something of that sort has been done to us, one of our relatives has been killed. Do not approach the property of an orphan, especially if the orphan is under your care. Do not touch that wealth except in the way that is best, maybe to develop it, or if you are, if you have to use it to maintain the orphan and so on, then that is what is accepted, except in the way that is best. Until he reaches maturity means that when he reaches maturity, you should hand him over his wealth and fulfill every commitment, any promise that you make. The commitment is indeed something that you will be questioned about. Give full measure when you measure and weigh with an even balance. So you can see here, Allah is talking to us about how we interact with each other, even in the marketplace. And do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about pursuing things, not that you don't have knowledge of it, but you know that actually it is going to lead you down an evil path, because we are actually encouraged to seek knowledge, seeking pure knowledge, seeking the knowledge of the deen, and seeking other types of knowledge that will be beneficial to us. That is not prohibited. But that of which you have no knowledge here means the things that you know really to be wrong. Do not pursue that. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, all of these will be questioned, or you will be questioned about the usage of all of these things, all of these faculties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to you. And do not walk upon the earth exultantly, in other words, arrogantly. Uh, you cannot split the earth, you cannot go through it, that is, and you will never reach the mountains in height. We need to know our places, and so arrogance and haughtiness and so on is never liked, is not to be encouraged at all. And all of these things are evil in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is why they are detested in the sight of Allah. So that is why we are prohibited from them. And this is from the wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. The set of verses begin with the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and end with that also. Uh, Singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone for worship. So it says, O mankind, do not make with Allah any deity, lest you be thrown into hell, blamed and banished. Uh, so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit us from His words. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to draw closer to Him through His words, through reciting them, through studying them, and understanding and implementing them. Jazakumullahu khairah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.